All the divorce papers. Get out in a week. Paul looked at me with disdain, holding hands with the woman standing next to him, seemingly flaunting their closeness. At times, intertwining their arms or playfully messing with each other. I wondered what I was being made to witness. It was right after I had been discharged from the hospital from a sudden illness. For some reason, Paul's name was missing from the family register. Rushing home, I found an unknown woman there as well. I was under the impression that Paul had taken leave from work using his company's welfare program to care for me. Taking a leave for nursing only to cheat? What kind of nerve does he have? He was always the kind of person who would discard anything not necessary for his life, as if it was someone else's property, and it seems he's decided he no longer needs me either. I never imagined being treated with such disdain while married. He must think he's always the one choosing, that his word is law. Otherwise, he couldn't possibly treat someone this badly. However, I have already taken steps to ensure Paul can't talk his way out of this. He's the only one who doesn't know what's coming. I am Sharon, a caregiver working in a nursing home, and I am turning 40 this year. After graduating from college, I worked in sales for a while, but have been working as a caregiver since quitting sales. I met my husband Paul at work. We got married when I was 35. The cafeteria in the nursing home where I work is operated by an external food service company. The owner is very particular about meals, so much attention is paid to the residents' food. Eating delicious food gives you the energy to live. The owner compared many companies before choosing the current one, caring deeply about the dining experience. He visits our nursing home 2 or 3 times a month. It's appreciated that the company's representative, Paul, is so involved. During his regular visits, we started to chat more. Working for a food-related company, his daily life seemed very meticulous, which was appealing. It was refreshing for me because I had the impression that not many single men live such careful lives. Hearing about his routine of starting the day with his favorite bakery's bread and coffee, having a vegetable-rich dinner at night, and ending the day relaxing with herbal tea, I was amazed. Paul, you seem to lead a very careful life. I'm always in a rush, so I'd like to learn from you. Not at all. I'm just doing ordinary things. It's because you can do the ordinary, Paul. I don't even know where to start. In that case, I recommend trying herbal tea. I'll bring you some of my favorites next time. Please try them. Paul and I began to talk more because of the herbal tea. The herbal tea Paul introduced me to was delicious, not just for health, but something I wanted to drink every day. Hello, the herbal tea you recommended the other day was so good, I bought some myself. I can see myself continuing it daily. That's great. The herbal tea I gave you has a calming effect on a restless heart. I thought it would suit you. A restless heart, huh? You seem tired. I thought if your heart settled, your feelings might change too. Paul's gaze seemed filled with kindness. I was always focused on others, never having time for myself. To have someone see me this thoroughly was a new feeling of happiness. Since the first time we met, I was somehow drawn to you, Sharon. I'm so happy we can talk like this. If it's okay with you, would you consider dating me? My answer was already decided. If you're okay with me, then yes, I'd be happy to. I think my life has been dull, to say the least. After choosing a college on a whim, I was hired as a salesperson at a company, but couldn't achieve good sales results and was always scolded. Called the company's burden useless, I quit, fed up with the daily insults. Then, by chance, I started working at a nursing home. While working, I realized the profoundness of caregiving and continued to study for qualifications while working daily. Life with shift work, including night shifts and studying, meant putting myself last. To think someone was watching over me as I worked tirelessly. Finding time amidst busy schedules, we spent time together. Dates with Paul were ordinary, like shopping or movies, Among them, shopping with the future in mind felt like moments of happiness. These mugs, should we get matching ones for when we live together in the future? That sounds good. I wanted a simple mug like this. I'm glad. Thinking about living together makes me excited. We gradually prepared for married life, imagining living together. Sitting in a cafe we stopped at during shopping, Paul suddenly looked serious. What's with that face all of a sudden? Do you have a stomach ache? No, it's just... Don't push yourself. Should we call it a day here? I can't wait any longer. While shopping and thinking about living with you, I couldn't contain my feelings anymore. Will you marry me? Paul said, looking at me. Had there ever been a moment in my life as happy as this? Yes, I'd be honored. I'm relieved. I thought you might say no. I had no idea you were thinking that deeply about us. Today was the most nerve-wracking day for me. The tension that had been building up melted away, and Paul looked relieved. Come on, the answer was already decided. Life with you seems like it would be filled with happiness. And then Paul and I got married. We both lived alone, but Paul's apartment was quite spacious for one person, so we decided to use it. I moved in with my necessary belongings to start our married life in Paul's house. His apartment was just as meticulously maintained as he had described. I knew from visiting Paul's place several times before. Everything was neatly organized. A spotless room. Thinking about starting our new life here made my heart race. What kind of happiness awaited us? However, I couldn't have known that this excitement would soon be shattered. Half a year after getting married, I was preparing for a night shift at home. I usually take my midnight snack, uniform, towel, etc. for my night shifts, but I couldn't find my stuff. The tumbler was a recent gift from a friend and a favorite of mine. Though I thought so, I couldn't find my towel or the tumbler I usually use. Could Paul have mistakenly taken them to work? But would Paul take my towel or tumbler by mistake? No matter how much I searched, I couldn't find them. Having no choice, I decided to use a spare towel from my locker and buy tea from the grocery store on my way to work. I decided and left for work. Work went smoothly as usual. I wanted to return home quickly, take a shower, and sleep in bed because I've been feeling tired lately. Most of all, I haven't seen Paul recently due to consecutive night shifts, and I wanted to see him. With that thought alone, I hurried home. When I got home, Paul was in the living room, getting ready to leave for work. As usual, he was ironing his favorite dress shirt. Ah, Sharon, is that you? Paul, good timing. I have something I want to ask. Is that okay? Is it about the tumbler? I didn't expect Paul to bring up the topic of the tumbler. Since he mentioned the tumbler, he might know something about it. Yes, I can't find my tumbler or towel. I looked for them before going to work, but they're nowhere to be found. I see. I thought I brought them from the previous house. If that's the case, I've already disposed of them. I couldn't believe Paul's words, stating clearly that he had thrown them away. Why? There was no need to throw anything away without asking. We need to keep things organized. Looking at me with a puzzled expression, as if to ask what he did wrong. I couldn't hide my shock at finding out he had thrown things away without my knowledge. The tumbler was a birthday gift from an old friend, and it held sentimental value, which is why I couldn't stay silent upon hearing he had thrown it away. Then Paul sighed while looking at me. Using something as tasteless as that. I thought you were different. I got rid of what you don't need, and yet you talk to me like this? His expression implying he did nothing wrong, despite throwing away my belongings, infuriated me. However, I was so angry about him throwing away something important that I couldn't find the words to respond. Is that all you wanted to talk about? I have to go now. Oh, and Sharon, make sure you sort out your unnecessary stuff, too. Unnecessary stuff? What does he mean? I had decluttered when moving in with Paul at the time of our marriage. to ensure I didn't fill his place with my things. Realizing what Paul said, I decided to look around the house. Despite being peak tired from the night shift, a bad feeling washed away all my sleepiness and fatigue. My suspicion was confirmed. Things that should be in our house were missing. Clothes, shoes, bags, and accessories I had bought when I was single. It seemed a lot had been thrown away, though I hadn't checked everything. I couldn't believe he would dispose of someone else's belongings without permission. I had carefully selected and brought only the essentials for our new life together with Paul. Honestly, I didn't have many belongings, nor were they cluttered, and yet he disposed of them. It appeared that items with slightly bolder colors or characters had been thrown out. Probably Paul disposed of items he didn't like or that didn't match the interior. Had he just told me, I would have considered disposing of them myself. Why do it without asking? The shock of having important items discarded left me unable to move for a while. Maybe it was also my fault for not realizing what kind of person he was, but still, he shouldn't have thrown them away without asking. I felt like my head was getting blanker from the shock. I didn't know how long I sat there, but when I realized it, the outside was dyed with the color of sunset. I had been sitting, shocked, ever since I found out Paul had disposed of my belongings after coming home. Looking at the clock, it was almost 6 p.m. Realizing Paul would be home soon, I tried to stand up, but felt dizzy. Honestly, I had no appetite, nor could I think of what to cook. While I was in this state, Paul came home. "I'm home. What have you been doing all day?" Welcome back, Paul. I've been feeling a bit unwell." "Oh, is that so? What about dinner?" He seemed uninterested in me as he took off his suit and sprayed it. "Sorry, I haven't made anything because I'm not feeling well and don't have an appetite. There's some meat marinated in sauce, though. Do you want to cook it? It's ready to be grilled." Then it's fine." He answered grumpily and plopped down on the sofa to start playing with his mobile phone. "What? How long are you going to be there? You're kind of in the way." He looked at me as if I was a nuisance. That was not like the Paul who used to care about me the most. Maybe something unpleasant happened at work, I thought, deciding to leave him be, and quietly exited the room. That's when Paul stopped me. "Hey, you're just going to leave without saying anything? Don't you have anything to say to me?" The eyes I once thought were kind now seemed cold. While feeling the coldness in his gaze, I answered, I'm sorry for not preparing dinner. I'm feeling a bit unwell, so I'll go to bed early." Realizing how uncaring he was came too late. I wondered if I could ever live well with him from now on, as anxiety swirled in my head. Maybe because of these thoughts, my health worsened like never before. I constantly battled dizziness and nausea, making work impossible. On my days off, I spent the whole day in bed, taking breaks from work. Despite usually bouncing back after a day's work, I was now utterly worn out. Plagued by severe ill health, I decided to consult a major hospital. The cause was unclear, but due to my poor condition, I was admitted for tests. Even after several days of hospitalization, the cause remained unidentified, and my health didn't improve, extending my stay. Worried that Paul would be angry, I was surprised when he visited my room. "Sorry to trouble you during your busy time, Paul. They're not sure what's causing this, but I'll be better soon. Please bear with me." "Don't apologize. You'll get better. I'll support you as much as I can." Paul's smile returned to the gentle one I knew before we were married. I reassured myself that the Paul I saw at home recently was just in a bad mood from working or something. That's what I said in my heart. "Thank you." "I have to go now. Oh, and I'll take leave to care for my partner, so call me anytime." Paul left after saying that. I remembered Paul mentioning his company's welfare benefits, including leave for family care. Though he hadn't detailed how many days or the specifics, I appreciated the large company's policies. While I wanted his company, I might also need him for various errands, so this leave was welcome. I contacted Paul for some things I needed from the hospital, but my calls kept going to voicemail. Finding it odd, I went to sleep, but couldn't reach him the next day either. Growing concerned, I left a message, but it remained unread. Focused on treatment for my mysterious illness, I was hospitalized for about 3 weeks before I could be discharged. Even after informing Paul of my discharge, my messages remained unread, heightening my anxiety. I felt uneasy, worried something might have happened to Paul. All I wanted was to get home as quickly as possible. Then I remembered I needed to submit some documents at work. There seemed to be some paperwork that had to be filed at the government office. It was a bit difficult since I was still recovering, and above all, I was worried about Paul. But going back again would be too much trouble, so I stopped by the office on my way home. When I looked at the document issued by the office, something felt off. The document, which was supposed to show the data of the entire family, only had my name printed on it. Since it was supposed to output the data of the whole family, both Paul's and my name should have been printed without a doubt. That's when I got a bad feeling. Rushing back home, I sensed the presence of someone other than Paul in the room. I could smell a perfume that Paul never uses coming from the entrance. Entering the living room, I saw Paul and a woman I didn't recognize. Paul, who is this?" Then Paul turned around with a nasty smile, and the woman clinging to his side spoke. "Is this the person you were talking about?" "Yeah, but it's okay now." I had no idea what was okay. In this situation, it's like something straight out of a movie, I thought to myself, somehow managing to remain calm. In a daze, I accidentally dropped the bag I was holding. The document issued by the office fell out of the bag. I reconsidered and decided to ask Paul something. "Hey, who is this person? And when I got the document from the office, only my name was on it. Do you know anything about it?" Paul answered with a disgusting smile. "I filed for divorce." For a moment, I thought I misheard, but judging by Paul's demeanor, it didn't seem like a joke. "Wait, do you mean divorce papers?" "That's because I don't need things that are useless. It's only natural to get rid of what you don't need." He sneered, glaring at me. "I thought marrying you might make life a bit easier, but it's not the case at all. Plus, being hospitalized with no clear discharge date, that's bad, right?" "Really? I couldn't possibly abandon Paul like that." "It's best to let go of the baggage." "Leave within a week." Amy pointed at me, laughing as if she was having a great time. "Amy is so kind. I really wish you could leave right now." As they spoke, the two intertwined their hands. I didn't understand what I was being shown. This was the house I started living in after marrying Paul. What were these two trying to say? Paul threw a large Boston bag in front of me. "Men say you're not fully grown until you're married. That's what my boss says. He said he'd give me a big project if I got married quickly." "Wait, I thought you married me because you loved me." "I never said I loved you. You just seemed like an easy target for marriage. But if I'm dating, I'd rather be with someone beautiful, right?" Indeed, Amy was dressed like a modern, beautiful office worker. Her nails were neatly painted, and her hair was carefully curled, looking beautiful. "See, timing is important. The one who acts quickly wins. So when are you leaving?" Paul looked at me, urging for an answer. So, Paul married someone he frequently saw at work to improve his chances of promotion and to curry favor with the boss. It seemed I was only needed as a nominal wife, not because he truly loved me. I understood Paul's feelings all too well. Of course my answer was decided. "No, I'm leaving right now." With that, I left the house in 3 seconds. Actually, I had planned to stay at my parents' house in the next town for a while after being discharged from the hospital, so my daily necessities had already been sent there. Everything I needed for work was in my locker at work, so there was no issue. I packed the documents lying next to the table into my bag and left the house. I packed the detective agency's documents that were lying next to the table and an envelope with Paul's company's name printed on it into my bag. I decided to head somewhere specific. My destination was Paul's office workplace. I had been to Paul's office 2 or 3 times before for various reasons. In fact, I had received mail from Paul's company addressed to me. It was mail forwarded to my hospital room during my hospitalization. The envelope addressed to me contained several documents necessary for family medical leave. It seems they were being sent because not only Paul had to fill them out, but as the one being cared for, I needed to fill out some documents as well. I came to Paul's workplace to submit these documents in person. Paul's boss, who had thrown us a celebratory dinner when we got married, happened to be there, so I handed the documents to him directly. He looked at me in surprise and kept checking the whiteboard hanging in the office. On the whiteboard, a magnet boldly labeled nursing leave was attached, and below it was written, return date undecided. So, inside Paul's office, he was considered someone who couldn't return to work because he was nursing his wife. Given that I, Paul's wife, am quite recovered and here to deliver documents, it's natural he was surprised. I was asked various questions by Paul's boss and answered honestly. The reasons for my hospitalization, visitation frequency, details of support, etc. Paul's boss looked at me with disbelief, as if he couldn't believe what I was reporting was so different from what Paul had told him, and he was confused. However, after comparing the medical certificates and hospital receipts I submitted with the days Paul had taken off, he seemed to conclude I was telling the truth. Then I handed over another document. It was a document proving our divorce, and Paul's boss was speechless. If someone who had taken leave to care for his wife was actually divorced, the boss couldn't just stay silent. It seemed like the company decided this was no different from taking fraudulent leave, and some sort of disciplinary action was unavoidable. Indeed, what Paul was doing was completely a lie, and it involved cheating. Taking fake leave for an affair and filing for divorce without consent? Unforgivable. As I left Paul's workplace, I noticed dozens of incoming calls from Paul. Wondering if he still had something to say, I was about to put away my mobile phone when I received another call from Paul.
Hey, you didn't say anything unnecessary, did you?
Holding back my urge to retort at his first words, I answered, unnecessary things?
You know, even if you said anything, everyone's going to believe me anyway. Don't get it twisted.
With that, he hung up. Paul must have been trying to make sure with that. He probably thinks I wouldn't say anything unnecessary. I went to a law firm and consulted about divorcing Paul and suing for damages for his affair. I provided evidence and information on the other party that I'd previously obtained from the detective agency and decided to claim damages from both Paul and his affair partner. It's unforgivable for them to enjoy the best parts and then pretend like nothing happened. The lawyer worked very efficiently, and it seems that within a few days, both Paul and his affair partner received the documents for the claim for damages. I got panicked calls from both of them.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, how dare you do this? Being the one not chosen? They were yapping like noisy puppies, causing my ears to ache from just listening to them on the phone. Just doing what's natural. You didn't think it would all just end without anything happening, did you?
Acting all high and mighty, Sharon? When did you find out?
When? A long time ago. No matter how much I work night shifts, it's strange not to see you for days on end, right? Thought you wouldn't be suspected if you said it was work. I'm the type who wants to know if something feels off. That's why I had it investigated. Paul seemed quite angry on the other side of the phone, his heavy breathing audible.
You had it investigated? That's low.
Considering you were sneaking around with an affair partner even though we're married, I hear she's from a client company.
Who Amy is or where she's from is none of your business. If anything happens to Amy, I won't forgive you.
He seems to be endlessly optimistic. He can't seem to grasp the situation he's in. Do you even have the time to worry about others? Well, it's fine. Just stop causing trouble for everyone else. And there was another problem. Amy, Paul's affair partner, hadn't paid any compensation at all. Does she think it's okay not to pay if she keeps quiet? Or does she truly believe she's not at fault? Either way, I can't just let this slide. I decided not to cry about it and consulted my lawyer again. Eventually, we went for garnishing Amy's wages. Having her salary garnished probably exposed her affair at work. I had numerous missed calls from Amy. Picking up the phone was a hassle, but I didn't want to delay dealing with this, so I decided to answer. What's the meaning of this? Because of you, it's been revealed and I might get fired. Apparently, the affair and the fact that it was a home-wrecking situation had become known, and she was being gossiped about all over her workplace. Both Amy and Paul, though they worked at different places, were given the choice to transfer to a rural sales office or resign. Well, if someone who cheats is at the workplace, it's bound to worsen the atmosphere, right? Just choose between transferring or resigning. No way. No way. I can't live in the countryside. If you hadn't said anything unnecessary, things could have remained the same. Do you really think things could have remained the same? I asked out of curiosity. Yes, I could get married and Paul would be happy marrying me, and we'd live happily ever after. I felt a bit of sympathy for Amy. Being oblivious might be a form of misery in its own right. Are you serious? On what basis can you say he won't cheat again? Well, if there's love, there won't be any cheating. You don't need to tell me that. Fine. If you're okay with being after me, go ahead. But don't think you can dodge paying compensation. I said what I wanted to say and decided to hang up on Amy. People who do such dishonorable things can't possibly end up happy. Thinking they could secure their own happiness after cheating is a huge mistake. Rumor has it, Paul and Amy are having a terrible time. At work, both are stressed out from being gossiped about everywhere, and they resigned as if running away. After resigning, their job search was difficult, as their bad reputation had spread far and wide. Naturally, no one wants to hire someone known for cheating, and they're struggling to find jobs. About half a year after the divorce, I got a call from Paul. Hello, what do you want now?
Hey, can I work at your place? I can't find work anywhere, and I keep getting rejected. I can't make a living.
That's because you've done something shameful you can't talk about, right?
I was thinking I could work at your place, if that's okay.
The audacity of such a statement left me speechless. Work at my place? You really should stop making jokes. You need to realize that this is all your fault. After being told off by me, Paul hung up. I had never spoken so clearly to Paul before, not during our relationship or marriage. I felt relieved to have finally said what was on my mind. I continued to work at the nursing home. After spending some time at my parents' house post-discharge, I returned to work and am enjoying living alone for the first time in a while. Every day at the nursing home is a learning experience, making it a job I never tire of. Even with years of experience and qualifications, no 2 days are the same, which keeps it exciting. One day, I was offered a promotion. They had noticed my dedication and wanted me to lead the team as a chief. Having never taken on a leadership role before, I was both excited and a bit apprehensive. However, I wanted to take this opportunity and do my best. Furthermore, I had passed the caregiving qualification exam on my first try. With this qualification and a raise, I'll be able to live comfortably on my own. I'm looking forward to embracing my potential and taking on new challenges